This ayah is actually a really good insight about a few things I want to share with you. Number one, it's an insight into why people actually don't accept Islam. Why don't they not accept Islam? On the surface, they will tell you, I don't know if the Quran was actually compiled or not properly. Or they'll tell you, what about this hadith or that ayah or this and that. They'll give you kind of what seems like intellectual reasons. That's why they're not accepting Islam. And even Muslims sometimes, they're not following Islam. When you tell them why, they'll give you all kinds of intellectual reasons, right? But the reality is, Allah has read them on the inside. The reality is, they really love to rebel. They don't want to stay in any limits. They don't want anybody putting any limits on them. Not even Allah. They want to live free. And so Allah says, كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى. And you know, the ultimate result of ignorance is rebellion. Ignorance leads to rebellion. The previous ayat were about fighting ignorance. Read. Among, let's not even talk about non-Muslims. Among Muslims, who are the most rebellious Muslims? Who are the most rebellious Muslims? The ones who don't read. The ones who don't study the religion. The ones who don't know and don't care to know. They don't know and they don't care to know. Obviously they're going to rebel. Right? And that's the internal problem of rebellion. That's not going to be fixed by any discussion. They have to change that inside of them. Right? So, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى. Then Allah tells us what made him that way. What made a human being such a rebel? That was the first insight, right? That the human being, the real reason for rejection is this arrogant rebellion. But where did this rebellion come from? أَرَّآهُ اسْتَغْنَى, which is really originally لِأَرَّآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. This idea, to understand it, the raw meaning is that he assumes that he's free of need. The human being sees himself as free of need. That's the raw meaning. So he rebels because he thinks he doesn't need anyone. He sees himself in not need of anyone, in no need of anyone. What does that mean in simple terms? Allah says, فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. Allah gave the human being, inspired him with the recognition of what is evil and what is good. What's wrong and what's right. When a person does something bad, they deep down inside know it's bad. They already know it's bad, right? But why does someone do something bad? And let's not even talk about religious bad, legal good and bad, right? Why do you stop at the red light? Because you think you're going to get a ticket if you cross it. There's going to be consequences. Why would you pay your taxes? Because you think the IRS will come after you if you don't pay your taxes. The idea is you're not free of need. People have some control over you. You're not completely independent. If you were totally independent, you wouldn't care about anybody but yourself. And you wouldn't follow any rules. That's the assumption. For good human beings will still be good. But most people will have complete chaos if there's no control over them. If they think they're free of need. The fact that you don't spend on certain useless things is because you don't have enough money. What if you had an endless supply of money? Would you start spending on useless things? I could use that too, use this too, because you wouldn't care anymore. You'd become carefree. So Allah says the root cause of rebellion, the attitude of rebelling consistently, someone sees themselves that they don't need anyone. They're free of need. They're not dependent on Allah. أَرَّآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. Does he see himself free of need? He assumes about himself that he doesn't need anyone else. This came up previously in the same surah, in the same juz. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْعُسْرَى. Same thing. He was cheap, and then he wastaghna. He felt like he's free of need. A very beautiful comment made here by Ash-Sha'arawi rahimahullah. It's very interesting. He says, in this world there are two kinds of laws: physical and moral laws. Physical laws and moral laws. Physical laws are gravity is going to pull you down. That's a physical law. Fire is going to burn. That's a physical law. Physical laws, you don't try to rebel against them because they're always operational. But moral laws are inside your heart. And when you rebel against them, like if you lie, there's no lightning that strikes on your tongue. And when you steal, your hand doesn't fall off. Right? And when you strike, you don't become impaired. The punishment doesn't come right away. So physical laws people respect. But moral laws people take advantage of. This is what people take advantage of. And it's breaking these moral laws and you don't see any punishment coming, you figure, I'm free. There are no consequences for doing what I'm doing. When you break or you try to break physical laws, you pay the price right away. Right? The highway says there's a sharp turn coming, slow down. You don't want to slow down, you'll pay the price. Because you tried to break a physical law. But when it comes to moral law, you figure, I've got all the rain in the world. There's not going to be any consequences. Well, the one who created the physical laws also created the moral laws. And the one who's giving you punishment for breaking the physical laws right away is also the one who can delay giving you punishment for breaking the moral laws. It's the same source. All the restrictions on the human being, be they physical or moral, come from Allah Azza wa Jalla. They come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just an example of that, Allah says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ أَمْوَالَ الْيَتَامَى ظُلْمًا إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا. Those who eat the wealth of the orphan wrongfully, they're filling their stomachs with fire. They're eating and they're filling their stomachs with fire. Well, when you eat the wealth of an orphan, try it, it's not going to burn. It's not going to burn. Not yet, right? That you're breaking that moral law, but you'll pay for it later on, not now. So because of that, later on, the human being figures, it's all good. I'm free to go. And so what's the remedy of that?